What if you could change your life? Really change it? Turn it upside down, escape the daily routine and start all over again? Well, maybe you can. Maybe you have a hidden talent, a talent that could change your life in a totally unexpected way. A hopeless dream? Not so.
Scientific techniques can identify our hidden abilities. Now, in the biggest experiment of its kind, we set out to find Britain's hidden talents and challenge them to follow their dream.
This is one of our test centres. Hundreds of people have come here today to find out if they have a hidden talent that could potentially change their lives.
Over the last year, 900 randomly selected people came to our talent test days all over Britain. We gave them a range of 9 tests to discover if they had a hidden ability they never dreamt of. We've uncovered great new talents.
I did it! I did it!
We trained them. We set them difficult challenges.
Oh my God.
We changed lives around.
If I can do that, I can do anything I want, anything I want.
Tonight, we're looking for a super tasker. Lots of people can multitask. We can all switch between different activities like watching the television, cooking, keeping an eye on the kids. What we're looking for is someone with the brain to carry out 2 or more very demanding tasks simultaneously.
If we find a genuine super tasker, they will face the ultimate test of their hidden talent. We will put them on the front line of emergency services. Ambulance dispatchers have to do many challenging tasks all at the same time. Their success could be the difference between life and death.
You need to calm down so that I can help you.
Over 200 candidates sat 2 tests to help us find a super tasker.
So, you ready to go? Click enter. Go.
In the first test, candidates must solve maths problems at the same time as they try and memorise sets of letters. Stacey Buchanan is from Belfast and is hoping she could be a super tasker.
I think I'm not too bad a multitasker at home. Well, I have to be. I'm a mother of 3 children and I've helped my husband with his business as well.
Overseeing the tests is neuropsychologist Dr. Joe Idden.
So it's 2 things that we could probably quite easily do one at a time. However, when you put them together, that makes it quite complicated. You get a lot of competition between attentional resources in your brain.
People from all walks of life took the tests, including 57-year-old Paul Cunsley.
My wife said I wouldn't be very good at it. She said, you're not a multitasker, Paul, just don't go there. Work with Tesco's and I actually stack bread. So, I mean, sometimes I might stack a roll, sometimes I might stack a piece of bread. But not really multitasking, no.
To some, multitasking comes naturally.
As it went on, I started to get into a wee flow where I could kind of have a little rhythm going and things like that, so I quite enjoyed it.
For others, it's unexpectedly hard.
Yeah, that did my brain in a bit. I did get a point where I thought, I can't do any more, please, no more. But I managed to get over that.
Frequently, if we're trying to do a number of tasks, our performance will actually suffer.
The second task is more difficult. This time, not 2, but 4 tasks have to be executed at once. The challenge is to memorise a short list of letters, keep the petrol gauge above the red zone by clicking on it when it gets low, answer the maths problems, and click the alert button when you hear a beep. All at the same time.
It's quite difficult, wasn't it? Very tricky.
So I'd already done the maths questions first of all.
So the maths question was the most important,
yeah,
but then
once
you
you've
focused
done
on the
that,
other things.
you can forget about that box.
That was a very good strategy, very, very organised. If you plan something, obviously you can do it better. It'd be interesting to see what your score is there.
Yeah, so do I, yeah. might be really bad, so...
Maybe you could be a supertasker. Go to the website and take the tests. Out of all the people we put through our multitasking tests, just 6 finalists emerge as potential supertaskers. All have proved they can complete complex multiple tasks successfully at the same time. No one is more surprised to be included than shelf stacker Paul.
You know, for me to have gone through 57 years of life and not know that I was really that good at something, that'd just be so fantastic.
We've brought our finalists to a state-of-the-art testing facility in Berkshire. Only those with a full UK driving licence are able to do the next part of the test. Dr. Joedin has asked US scientist Professor David Strayer to run the next test.
We did a national test, and you are some of the people who excelled at that test. What we're going to do is follow on to see if you, this elite group, now have the ability to be able to multitask in ways that most of us can't.
Professor Strayer originally devised the test to assess the dangers of the use of mobile phones while driving.
We found that there was a real small subset of people who could talk on the cell phone and not get impaired when they were driving.
Each of our finalists will be tested in this state-of-the-art driving simulator using a hands-free communication set. First, they are tested while the car is stationary by answering maths questions true or false.
9 times 3 plus 3 equals 30.
False.
At the end of each maths question, they're given a word to memorize, which they must recall later.
Hat. 2 times 2.
The maths questions get harder, and they have to recall more and more words.
Pan. 9 divided by 1 plus 3 equals 13.
No.
Flag. 9 times 2 plus 2 equals 20.
Yes.
Recall.
I don't have a clue. Spot. Male. I don't have a clue.
25-year-old barmaid Leonie Atherton scored very highly in our previous test. She's surprised to find out she could be a supertasker.
I have problems eating and walking. I can't even text and walk. If I get a message, I'm like, right, everybody stop.
After doing the test in a stationary car, our finalists must now drive and do the test.
Okay, you happy to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
They will answer more maths questions and have to recall more words at the same time whilst driving. Professor David Strayer wants to see if they can do both these tasks in parallel without any drop in performance.
For most of us, when we multitask, we're really just doing one task at a time, but just switching back and forth.
3 times 2 minus 6 equals 1.
No.
For most people, being distracted while driving is highly dangerous.
9 times 2 plus 2 equals 20.
Yes.
Our supertaskers perform in parallel these different activities that are in and of themselves very demanding.
9 divided by 3 minus 1 equals 1.
No.
She works in a busy bar, so she probably has the multitasking skills that will really set her well for a task like this.
Oh, there's lunatic drivers!
Recall.
Pest, crowd, facts, slip.
That was so stressful. It was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. I just could not figure out the most simple, I think like 3 times 10. I just didn't know what it was.
Next at the wheel is shelf stacker Paul.
Plus 7 equals 20.
He scored the highest in the previous tests. Can he multitask in the driving simulator?
6 times 4 plus 1 equals 22.
False. Sometimes you'd be questioning yourself about, did I get that last maths question right? No, I didn't. And then you'd lose it.
Recall.
Plus keys. That's what I've got. I sort of think I've done half good. I'd like to think I had done well, but no, I haven't.
Call centre worker Gabby also finds it hard.
Tie? No. I don't know.
This is a task that most of us would really hate to do. I mean, that's the reason we were really kind of excited to find these people to begin with, is how can you do this? Those people are like the fighter pilots of the world who can just multitask extremely well.
27-year-old Cassie Gledhill is a professional cyclist who's trained to focus on a single goal on the track. How will she cope?
When I'm doing the multitasking test, it seems that if I just kind of go with my instinct rather than think about it too much, that it seems to go okay. But as soon as I think too much, I get a bit flustered.
Mole, spot, lid. Toast, cat green.
So you're really pushing the working memory capacity of these individuals to a really high level.
9 divided by 3 plus 5 equals 9.
You're using working memory to kind of hold the partial sums and then make the decision about whether it's correct or not.
False.
Recall.
Slave, test, phone, burn.
Gosh, that's good, isn't it? Very good.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
I've definitely made some mistakes. I don't know if everyone made mistakes, but I'm just annoyed with the ones I made.
It's been a full day of grueling tests.
It was quite challenging in different ways.
That was quite hard.
I wasn't nervous or anything doing it. It was more just the adrenaline was kicking in and I really enjoyed it. You know, it was just a big buzz from doing it rather than actually like a fear or a panic or thinking when's it's going to be over.
Professor Strayer's extensive studies in the US revealed only 3% of people are supertaskers. Have we found one?
When we've done tests in the US, we've only found 12 people who are supertaskers. But, in fact, we actually found 2 of you who met the criteria. The first person was Leonie. Not only did you meet our supertasker criteria, but you actually did better when you were driving than when you were doing it in the single task.
Barmaid Leonie exceeds expectations, but only one person will get the chance to test their hidden talent to its limits. And one of them scores an incredible 99%.
Cassie, you basically almost got perfect scores. Well, Cassie's scores are probably the most impressive of all the people we've ever tested. And her performance is unmatched.
You know, I didn't know how well I'd done. I really wanted to get to this point, so now whatever challenge I'm set, I don't want to just do it, I want to do really well in it.
Cassie is a medal-winning cyclist from Surrey with a one-track mind.
When you're on your bike, if you're thinking about other things, then you're wasting energy thinking about other things. You want to try as much as you can to think 100%.
Cassie hasn't always wanted to be a track cyclist. She once had another ambition.
Just before I took up cycling, I was thinking of having a bit of a career change, and I applied on a course to become a commercial airline pilot. And I got accepted onto the course, but it happened at the same time as I was just taking up track cycling, and I decided to continue with my cycling.
Could her newly discovered talent point her in a new direction?
I've just finished my season, but I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go from here. So if an opportunity came from this, then it'd be fantastic. I'd be very interested to see what doors it could open, but yeah, I have to see.
Later, Cassie's supertasking ability will face its ultimate challenge as she takes the hot seat in one of Britain's most highly pressured jobs.
You need to calm down so that I can help you.
Working on the front line of emergency services dispatch. And we look for someone with an incredible talent for recognizing and remembering faces, what scientists call super recognizers. Can you identify these celebrities from their childhood photos. Find out after the break.
To try any of the tests in this series, go to the website and discover what you're capable of. You never know where it might take you.
Hidden Talent, inspired by American Express. Hidden Talent, inspired by American Express.
In the biggest experiment of its kind, we took a random selection of 900 people from all over Britain. Then we put them through a series of special scientific tests to discover remarkable hidden talents they never guessed they had.
One of the hidden abilities we looked for was a super recognizer. Most of us recognize a familiar face, but the latest scientific research shows that a rare number of us never forget a face.
To find a super recognizer, volunteers must sit 2 tests. Overseeing them is neuropsychologist Dr. Ashok Jansari.
What we're going to do is a test called Before They Were Famous. And the photographs are of famous people, but taken when they were younger. So has anyone got any questions? OK.
Before the break, we showed you 3 photographs of famous people. Could you tell who they were? Have a look again, focusing on the triangle of the eyes, nose, and mouth.
I didn't do at all well, so that I've learnt something about myself there.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this. I know loads of celebrities. I've seen loads of baby photos. And then all of a sudden I'm like, who's that? Is that guy? I don't know. Wait, what?
I think there was Britney Spears and Julia Roberts were instant for me. There was just, that's them.
I wrote down 6 out of about 56, so I think the first face recognition one didn't really go very well.
Back to our photographs. So how did you get on? If you identified the young Nigella Lawson, the young Tom Cruise, and the dashing one Richard Bacon, then you were correct. To do more of this test and others in the series, go to our Hidden Talent website.
Ash, tell us, what is this particular gift?
Super recognition is this finding that some people are extremely good at recognizing faces, and they'll recognize someone years after having met them briefly at a party, sometimes even without having had a conversation.
Really?
So it's this incredible ability to remember faces, because it's a survival skill.
Yeah.
You know, hundreds of thousands of years ago when we were all on the African savannah, you needed to know whether this was someone from a warring tribe or from one of your own tribes. And so it's important to recognize people.
And how rare is this ability?
We think it's pretty rare. So at the moment, we think that maybe about 2% of the population is a super recognizer.
In the second test, Ashok uses a set of faces stripped of other helpful identifying features such as hair and ears.
The other test is called the Cambridge Face Memory Test, and that's a test of recognizing unfamiliar faces.
Have a go yourself. Look at this face and memorize it. One of these three faces is the one you memorized. Which one is it? If you said A, you were right.
As you go through the test, it becomes more and more and more difficult.
The faces become more obscured and harder to match.
To the point where the last is virtually impossible. The only people who don't find it impossible are these super recognizers. Everyone else is just guessing at that point.
3 exceptional finalists emerge. They are the top scorers from both tests. 19-year-old Richard Demota is a graphics student from West London looking for more out of life.
In my spare time, I enjoy playing football. I go to the pub a few times, have a few beers, play some pool. Just nothing special. I'm just your average 19-year-old, to be honest.
Charlie Hobson works for a legal firm and wants to be a lawyer.
I would love to have scored best in the lie detector test. That's the one I wanted. When I got, obviously, the results back saying that super recognised it, I was a bit like, OK.
Higo Gomes da Silva studies business and is a keen golfer.
That's the one.
He's eager to explore his newfound talent.
I wouldn't say I am very competitive, but I bet most people that know me would say that I am a very competitive person.
All 3 have the potential to be super recognizers. A skill that is increasingly in demand and is used in a range of jobs such as security and police work. Most recently, the Metropolitan Police relied on a super recognizer to identify people caught on camera carrying out criminal acts during the 2011 riots. To find someone with the natural talent to do that, we've set our finalists a tough challenge in a real-world environment.
We brought them here to one of the UK's busiest train stations to find out if they really can pick a face out in the crowd.
We've devised a baffling challenge. We've brought 15 actors here to Liverpool Street Station. We're removing all their jewellery and accessories and dressing them in identical beanie hats and hooded tops. To see how the test works, I will do it first. The actors are asked to mingle with the crowds and to enter my field of view from different directions.
You're allowed to tell me who they are, aren't you?
Of course not.
Why not? But the point is...
Because I'm not supposed to help you.
I will only have 3 seconds to see and memorise their faces. Wearing the hoodies and beanies means I only have their face to go on. Like me, our finalists will have to memorise as many of the faces as possible.
12 o'clock, man with a hood.
You think you're going to be able to
making this
remember?
too easy.
Okay, right.
Look, big bushy eyebrows and quite a fat face. I don't want to insult these people, but sometimes the things that you remember...
Do you think you're
no,
missing
I've
any
just missed 2 people. Oh, fuck. Are they going to come back?
Nope.
OK, she's got really red lips. Hello, hello.
OK.
That lady there's got painted on eyebrows. They're just drawn on.
Can you tell?
Quite a lot of mascara.
Right.
Research shows that seeing a face twice, however briefly, greatly increases your chances of remembering it.
No, hang on, there's loads of them just appeared. Oh, I've not worked hard enough at this, hang on. And there's one going up there.
This is obviously a skill I don't have.
He went past you earlier.
Did he?
Yep.
Hopefully, our potential super recognizers are better than me. Later, our finalists will have to identify the actors they've seen at the station in a lineup of 20 people. This time, without their hoodies and beanie hats. To make it harder, only some of the actors will be in the lineup. Now it's time to put our 3 finalists through the challenge. First up is Richard DeMota.
Okay, Richard, this is where the people are going to be coming at you. So try to look out for the people with the hoodies that we talked about earlier. Okay? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Only 1 in 50 of us could be a super recognizer. Is Richard DeMota one of them?
What do you notice about them as they look at the people in the grey hoods?
What you can tell is that they're staring at the faces in a way maybe which is different to normal, and I think that's part of the thing with super recognition, that you've got to be very vigilant, you've got to pay attention, and then you've got to take in a lot of information.
Really tell how seriously they're taking it, can't you?
Yeah.
Because you haven't done this test before, have you?
We've never done this before. It's the first time we've done it, so it's quite exciting.
Richard DeMota thinks his passion for art might be able to help him.
I'm a graphic designer, and drawing a picture is a bit like putting a puzzle together. I tend to focus more on the strong facial features like eyes, nose and mouth, especially the eyes. I never forget a pair of eyes, never.
Okay, Richard, that's it. How do you think you did?
Oh, pretty well. Everyone that I did see, I can picture them quite clearly right now, so hopefully it sticks with me.
Next up is 25-year-old legal clerk Charlie Hobson.
Quite throws you when it starts happening, because it just sort of happens thick and fast.
Charlie has his own theory as to why he might be good at remembering faces.
I'm a swimming teacher, so there's a lot of kids you have to remember. 30 kids, every half hour they're changing, so you've obviously have to pick up those skills. And then when you're a lifeguard as well, you have to scan all these different people.
But has it been enough to get him through the Super Recognizer Challenge? Finally, it's Higo's turn.
Come on, look at me. That's too fast.
He's been brought up in the slums of Brazil, where he learned that remembering faces is key to survival.
I was brought up in a very rough neighborhood, known as favelas in Brazil, and you had to know who could harm you. And that instinct, naturally, maybe, allows me to recognize faces. If I could put it in words, what I memorize is still pictured. Where are they going? Come on, come back. When I look at them, I wait for a moment when they are gonna give me a position. Oh, that's better. I'll definitely remember you, mate. And in that moment, I took the picture, and that's the picture that I have in my mind. Hey, good man.
So which one of our 3 candidates will have what it takes to be a super recognizer? Remember, only a few of the actors from the station will be in the lineup of 20 people. Will our finalists be able to recognize them? Coming up, our super tasker Cassie finds herself at the front line in the emergency services, where every decision could be a matter of life and death.
Go for your original instincts. Not them, that's it, yeah.
This is particularly tough. Within a couple of minutes of standing there, she was dealing with a woman who'd been stabbed in the arm, a woman who was giving birth, and a man who'd overdosed.
Hidden talent, inspired by American Express. Hidden talent inspired by American Express.
Using the latest scientific techniques, we tested 200 people to find a supertasker, somebody who just loves having too much on their plate. And that person is professional track cyclist Cassie Gledhill. And tonight, her supertasking will be tested to the max here, where every decision she makes could have, will have, very real consequences.
This is the West Midlands Ambulance Service. Up to 3,000 emergency calls come into the control room every day.
You need to calm down so that I can help you.
Each incident is given to a dispatcher who must quickly deploy the right ambulance crew to the scene. This job demands fast thinking, keeping track of a high volume of evolving tasks, and keeping calm under pressure.
Our best dispatchers are those that display clear inclination to be able to multitask.
Tonight, neuropsychologist Dr. Joe Idden will see if Cassie's supertasking ability plays out in a real crisis centre.
What we're testing here is real-life executive functioning. So when we were back in the simulator, she did extremely well in that context. Here, it's actually about real people, so she's got to use her supertasking resources to get it right, but for real.
Cassie has been given a 3-day crash course in training that normally takes 3 weeks to complete. Cassie will join this team of dispatchers in Birmingham. Keeping an eye on her will be a senior supervisor who spent years on the front line dealing with all sorts of emergencies in the city centre.
Roger, that's all understood.
There is so much information to take in.
There is a lot of information, yeah.
So what sort of jobs are ongoing right now?
This one's a pregnant lady who's birth imminent at home.
It's complex. It's incredibly fast-moving, isn't it, as well?
It has to be fast-moving, really, to get the jobs out, swap crews off jobs. Obviously, because you've got higher priorities jobs. The red jobs are life-threatening.
OK, so you're constantly moving the chess pieces, aren't you?
Yeah.
The whole time?
It is like a game of chess, that's right, yeah.
Friday night in Birmingham city centre. But this is no ordinary Friday. This is payday. Thousands of people are looking to spend their hard-earned cash on a big night out in the city. It's one of the busiest nights of the month for the ambulance service, and Cassie has to be ready for a surge of emergencies.
I seem to do best when I relax, sort of do it without thinking too much about it. If I think too much about it, I think I'll get flustered and that could affect what I'm doing. I think it's best just to relax and just let my brain do what it's meant to do.
One of the points about being a supertasker is that rather than being overwhelmed, you start to develop an ability to actually perform quite well, very well. So hopefully that's what's going to happen.
I'll just give this to one of these responders and then I'll hand over.
You are responsible for people's lives and getting ambulances to them and making the right decisions.
It's time for Cassie to take the hot seat. With only 3 days training and her natural instincts to go on, this will be the ultimate test of Cassie's supertasking ability.
Just call.
She will cover the heart of Birmingham, one of 8 sectors that works in the city. She will have 16 ambulances and 6 rapid response vehicles available for dispatch.
268, go ahead.
Case here at a backup coming to this patient, over.
A paramedic on the scene of a heroin overdose has called for backup.
OK, I'll put that on for you now.
The patient needs to be taken to hospital, and Cassie must quickly send an ambulance.
They're downtime but deployable, but that's a solo, that's a...
Cassie must juggle the crews not only based on their distance from the scene of the emergency, but on their suitability to deal with the incident. If she gets it wrong, a senior supervisor will have to take over.
That means you're taking a break, doesn't it? So you should do it to the one return. Oh no, that's HCRT, so...
She makes a quick decision and sends out a vehicle. But she's made an error.
You need an ambulance, don't you, because it's hot backup. You need a truck, not a car. So I cancel 500
no. Would you use the one that's already on green too, or go on to that one because it's on station?
That's a car again, though, so we need an ambulance, don't we? Zoe, is 5006 yours?
The patient is relying on Cassie's decision. If Cassie doesn't resolve the situation, the supervisor will have to step in.
268, 268, 268. Yeah. Okay, did I drop the right one?
Yeah.
Cassie corrects her mistake, but it's a shaky start.
This is really hard. I've seen a lot of things on this programme, but this is particularly tough. Within a couple of minutes of standing there, she was dealing with a woman who'd been stabbed in the arm, a woman who was giving birth, and a man who'd overdosed.
In central Birmingham, things are heating up. The pubs are clearing out and the crowds are spilling out onto the streets, heading for takeaways and late-night clubs. This is often the toughest time for the ambulance service. As Cassie tries to keep up with all the new incidents, she also has to contend with the other dispatchers who have access to the same crews. She makes a quick decision to send an ambulance to an emergency, but it's already been assigned by another dispatcher.
This is what you have to be able to hear.
So
Maria's
they're
just
doing
said, yeah, that she's had him for something else. So don't worry.
At the moment, she's been a bit overwhelmed. She's stressed, she's anxious. When that happens, your brain tends to sort of freeze, you can't remember, you can't concentrate. She needs to regulate, calm herself down. What will happen is she'll start to balance out, her brain will start to adapt, and she'll adjust to what she has to do.
I just want to kind of concentrate, calm down a bit, and then I'll just be able to get into it and do what I know I can do.
After 2 hours on duty, the emergency calls are relentless.
Okay, thanks, Whiskey Bravo out.
But now Cassie's natural talent for supertasking is kicking in.
The mobile, so go there.
Go for your original instincts. Not them, that's it, yeah.
As Cassie adjusts to the busy environment, she starts to do better, much better.
268, we just sent you a job in a hostel. Are you happy to go ahead? Okay, thank you. Whiskey Bravo out.
I think she's calmed down and getting her head round it and into the swing of things.
It's a 16-year-old outside. No indication so far that the scene's unsafe. Over.
Supertaskers actually excel when they're in this situation.
Right.
They've had imaging studies where lots of tasks are being done at once. And with a supertasker, you actually get reduced brain activity.
The more you throw at her, the less her brain is doing.
It's like her brain is able to relax into it and just get on with it.
Just before her shift ends, Cassie gets handed a tricky situation. There's a potential suicide attempt, and Cassie must get the right team to the scene, and quick.
002, we've got some information. The patient is stating he's going to cut himself, keeps clearing the line, slurring words, sounds possibly intoxicated.
She must get a crew to the incident within minutes. But she also has to field an influx of calls from other vehicles on the ground.
It's coming up as a staff member assaulted with a bottle. Hi, 297, I've just given you a job in Balsall Heath. 268, go ahead.
A crew arrives at the scene of the potential suicide, and the patient is safely on his way to hospital. With all her other vehicles assigned...
Okay, thank you. Whiskey Bravo out.
Cassie's shift is finally over.
Did you have to choose a Friday night for this?
Got to put you to the true test.
I know.
Jess, how's Cassie done?
At first, let me be honest with you, nobody thought you'd do this. We came in here tonight and everybody thought you were going to fail miserably. The reality is you've been able to do it and you've done a really good job.
What did it make you think about this job?
I have huge respect for the whole team. It's a challenging job. They've always got to be focused, always, on the ball. The system works from the call to the ambulance, all the steps involved. You don't think that in 5 minutes, 3 minutes, the ambulance has got there, but actually all the people involved in that process.
Joe was saying that this means you could now be, for example, was it a chef or a fighter jet pilot? Yeah,
Exactly. One of those. Or
it's
a
one
traffic
of
controller.
it's one of the two.
Definitely not a chef. Can't cook,
Okay.
hate cooking, so I'll go with the fighter pilot. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay. We've seen people do some fairly astonishing things during the course of this project. Learn Arabic in 19 weeks, dive a long way on a single breath hold, sing opera. And although coming to the West Midlands isn't really as glamorous as some of those, what Cassie has done today is no less remarkable. She sat here amongst this cacophony of human drama, dealing with really distressing situations. And although she panicked at first, what was really notable was just how cool she became and just how well she dealt with it. And I think what she's achieved here is really impressive.
It's been a fascinating journey for me because normally I'm seeing people who have problems with their brain, so it's sort of the other end of the spectrum to Cassie. And actually, what we'd really love to do is take this further now. Maybe if we scan her brain and we're going to see a specific pattern, we're going to look at the genetic side of things, just to try and learn more about supertaskers.
It would be really interesting to see what doors it could open up, because I would be really interested in pursuing and looking into some of them. You know, in any role, whether it be jobs or hobbies, anything, I really would like to take it further and look at it more.
If you want to find out if you're a super recognizer, a super tasker, or if you have any of the talents featured in the series, go to our website, take the tests, and find out what you're capable of.
Coming up, we find out if we found a super recognizer, someone who never forgets a face. Could you have this talent? Watch this girl in the grey hooded top. Which one is she? Find out after the break.
Hidden talent inspired by American Express. Hidden talent inspired by American Express.
To find a super recognizer, we brought our 3 finalists to Liverpool Street Station to see if they had the ability to never forget a face.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
Come on then, Richard.
At the station, 15 actors were stripped of identifying features such as jewellery and accessories and dressed in identical beanie hats and hooded tops. As they emerged from the crowds, our finalists had to memorise their faces.
Come on, look at me. That's too fast.
For the final part of their challenge, 20 actors are lined up in a studio. 11 of the actors are from the station with their hoodies and beanie hats removed. Will our finalists be able to recognise them? Before the break, we asked you to watch this girl in a hooded top. And asked you to identify her in these 2 photos. If you picked B, you were right. To find out if you could be a super recognizer, go to the website. First to test his hidden talent or facial recognition is legal clerk Charlie Hobson.
Okay, Charlie, Tell us who you think was there.
You recognise loads of people from earlier? Yeah. Do you? Yeah. Really? I don't. OK. Go on then, go from left to right.
Both those two gentlemen there, not that girl. The gentleman there, not that girl, not that gentleman, not that girl. That girl definitely with the white top in the middle. That lady there, I believe, with the white scarf. Not that gentleman, not that lady. That boy. Don't think so, don't think so, don't think so. Definitely, definitely.
That was so quick.
If Charlie said he thought you were there, stay. If Charlie said that he didn't think you were there, can you move out, please?
There's only 3 I thought straight away, but the speed with which you ripped through that was incredible. If you were right.
So that's your final choice?
Yeah.
Okay, well done.
Interestingly, Charlie picked out 11 faces. But are they the right faces?
I'm not sure whether or not I picked someone that I actually saw or whether I'm just tricking myself in my mind.
Next up is Higo. Can he spot the faces from Liverpool Street Station?
Do you recognise loads of people?
No, many of them.
So, off you go.
Definitely the gentleman in a white polo t-shirt and the young girl to his left.
The red hair there?
The red hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the pretty girl there on the corner there. And the young gentleman with sunglasses on his head. Something about her. I'm not 100% sure, but I would say the lady in green top as well. I have a slight feeling that I have seen this lady. And those are my final choices, I think.
So if Higo said you were there, you stay. Everyone else, can you stand up and move?
Injected a lot of people.
OK, thank you very much.
Business student Higo believes he can recognise 9 faces.
I'm going to do everything that I think I can do well, to the best of my ability. And that's what I did today. I'm very curious about the results.
Richard, come and stand here. Have a look.
Finally, it's graphic student, 19-year-old Richard DeMotor.
First of all, when you look at it, are there loads of people you recognise straight away?
Yep.
There are?
Yep.
Oh, so quite confident.
All right.
Oh, good.
All right, go. Left to right from the back. What do you think?
Far left, no.
Yeah.
Brown jumper, green shirt underneath.
Okay.
No. White shirt, yes. The redhead, yes. Definitely.
The
yes.
girl at the back,
The
yep.
girl at the back on the far right. Yes, definitely. White shirt, yeah. Yeah, definitely stripy shirt.
Okay.
Yes.
The black
Black
shirt.
shirt.
Okay.
Definitely.
The
Green.
lady in the green, yeah.
Guy in black jumper. And no girl in black jacket.
Richard DeMotor has picked out 10 potential faces.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Well done.
Now, the moment of truth.
This is really like pushing my boundaries and stuff, which I like. And I hope I'm going to do well, so fingers crossed.
Our finalists get 1 point for every face they pick that was at the station. If they pick a face that wasn't at the station, they will have a point deducted. These are the 11 faces that were at Liverpool Street Station.
I'm going to tell you the scores now. Here we go. Ash, in reverse order.
Higo, you got 5. Second place was Charlie, you got 7 overall. And Richard, you did the best because you got 8 correct overall. So Richard is our super recognizer.
So you got 8 out of 11.
Yeah.
You look at it in those terms. They're the 11 who were there this morning.
I'm amazed, to be honest. I don't think I've done that well at all. I left and I was gutted.
Well done, Richard.
I think it showed that the test that we did earlier identified people who were very good at face recognition, and then now, in a real setting, we were able to demonstrate that, in fact, they were extremely good.
I found it a lot harder than I thought I would.
And people like the idea of uncovering or discovering another gift, another ability, don't they?
I'm only 19 years old, so I'm trying to like get into as many things as I can. Everyone thinks they have a talent. Yeah, but I definitely thought I had one, and apparently I do.
Throughout this series, I've met some remarkable people with a range of hidden talents, from nurse Maggie Reenan, who had a hidden ability to climb one of the toughest peaks, to 19-year-old James Winnery, who discovered an unknown skill for learning one of the world's most complex languages in just 19 weeks. Perhaps you have a hidden talent like James and Maggie. To find out, go to our website and take the tests. It is never too late to discover your hidden potential.
Next time, we catch up with the amazing individuals who found their hidden talents.
With further training, I don't see why that Rox in the future couldn't get a British record.
It's really interesting seeing Maggie's kids climb. You can't help but wonder how much of it's genetic.
I think that it totally just saved my life in a way. I really do.
We also meet others who took the tests and unlocked their hidden potential.
I remember just turning up at the testing day and thinking, what on earth am I doing here? What are they making me do? And it really has changed my everyday life.
Hidden talent, inspired by American Express.